Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another historic church in Shropshire. This is the church of St Andrew, Wroxeter. Now, as the name Wroxeter suggests, Wroxeter was the site of a Roman city, the Roman forerunner, if you will, of Shrewsbury. For various reasons, when it came to build a new city in the Middle Ages, it was decided to leave the Roman ruins and to build near the River Severn, where Shrewsbury is today. The ruins then were quarried and used to build a number of local buildings, including the church here, and some pieces of the city can be seen in the church walls even today. There was an Anglo-Saxon church here, and it has grown since then into the present structure, which is noted for its box pews. It was also here that John Fletcher, to give him his anglicised name, or Jean de la Fletcher, to give him his original French-Swiss name, otherwise, later known as Fletcher of Madeley, preached his first sermon. He was a tutor to the Big House family at Turn Hall, what's now Attingham Park, or rather the house that preceded Attingham Park. And as was so often the case, being a tutor meant that he became a clergyman. But of course he was a Methodist. He was John Wesley's designated successor. And before he became the vicar of Madeley, he preached in the churches around here, including this one, but this is where he preached his very first sermon. So as we look around, we shall see Roman relics, we shall see memorials and tombs and reminders of days gone by. St Andrew's is no longer used for regular worship. It is now cared for by the church's conservation trust. It is too big for the teeny tiny village, and so unfortunately it has been disused. But it's still maintained and it's still open to visitors. So let's have a look around, shall we? And so we begin in time-honoured fashion at the West End, under the Ringing Gallery, and there is a bit of a west gallery, and you can see the box pews there in the nave. As we move forward, we come to the font, and the font here is extremely unusual because it's the top of a Roman column, or maybe the bottom anyway. It is part of a very large Roman column, clearly from an important building in the city. And at some point it's been salvaged, perhaps hollowed out, filled with, given a lead lining, and it's become the font. And it's a tub font, but obviously because it's Roman, we're not entirely sure when it was converted into the font. The parish chest here has the usual 3 locks. This, of course, is to make sure that nobody can go in there and expropriate anything or alter the records. And here we have St Andrew and St George. This is the War Memorial window. Looking west now, these open benches are now moved against the box pews, but you can see from the box pew doors the benches were not originally here. Originally they would have been in the centre here, and they were the free seats. And if you paid for a seat, you got your box pews, and that's pretty common. We have, and box pews here are Georgian, and originally, well, in the Georgian era, you would have had this reredos behind the communion table. So you can see there the table, and then this is the reredos, and it's your typical Georgian reredos with the commandments in the middle and the creed and the Lord's Prayer. Unfortunately, the 3-decker has been reduced, but that is still the pulpit that would have been used by Fletcher, and the lower part has been replaced with this rather fetching reading desk, but you can see where the 3-decker setup would have been. The chancel is long. It was quite an important location, important village. We've got many of the memorials here to the Jenkins family of Charlton Hall. And then we have the communion rail. This is Jacobean, and it's dated, in fact, well, it's dated 1637, so it is Stuart. The communion table is still, quite rightly, a table, not an altar, as it ought to be, given the location, given the period. And within, then, we have these very grand memorials. So, looking for the chap's name here. Is this one of the... But you can see these are still painted, which they were originally intended to be. And we have here's the mourning daughter down below, clutching her necklace, but of course the necklace then would be probably a rosary, and the gentleman in his judge's robes. And then here we have knight and lady. These are Elizabethan, so these are the earlier. These are, from the looks of it, this is going to be the Henry the VII, Henry the VIII. You can just see behind there we've got a decorated era opening with wallflower, and this is Elizabethan from the style. And here we have Sir Francis Newport. So these are the Newports, and Sir Francis was a royalist who fought at the Battle of Oswestry, and became treasurer of the royal household. And then we have, again, and these are more members of the family with their, and again, the paint allows us to see that on those ones you see today where all the alabaster has been scrubbed clear, originally it would have been like this, with the figures all painted and their arms painted up to match. So these are the Newport family tombs. And we look west through the chancel arch. It's not unusual to find chancel arches like this, which bow outwards slightly at the bottom. Yes, you see the gentleman here, he's wearing his robe as a judge. Being a judge is an important, well, being a judge means that it's something that you want to be advertising on your memorial, at least you did in those days, to say that you are an important individual. And you can see here we've got some older stalls here in the chancel. Just close the gate, there we go. And this lovely view west, royal arms of George II. So although it has been altered to get rid of the three-decker, it's still very much a Georgian Protestant setting. And this is quite an interesting point here. If you stand here, this is the reading desk, and you're effectively a sort of central pulpit location, as you might find in a Methodist chapel, which is rather interesting. So that's the inside here, then, at St Andrew's, Wroxeter. And so this is the exterior of St Andrew's, Wroxeter. There would have at one point have been a south aisle, but that has been essentially subsumed into the body of the church in later work. You can see this lovely, typical of the area, this great 15th century west tower, and then these windows here are 19th century. So we'll have a look around the outside, and of course the usual closing remarks afterwards. So here we are, you can see that lovely 15th century tower and the Victorian porch and the sort of variegated, it's not checkerboard, but variegated stonework, and the vestry straight ahead. This has been pulled about a bit over the centuries, but has eventually reached its current form with this rather nice 18th century door and windows. And then we're in the chancel, and of course you can see that's been blocked up by that grand memorial. And here we have the Norman priest's door, which has been blocked up. Again, because these buildings are living buildings, they're used for various things, and they're adapted according to what's needed at the time. So this side has very much been rationalised, if you will. But we go around the north side. The north side is much less altered. The north side is much more what it would have been in the Middle Ages. And so we move around here, and you can see here the lovely Norman work in the chancel. Be a bit careful because of where the sun is. Norman work in the chancel, and there's the tower with its little belt, with a little stair turret. Stair turret, of course, to get onto the roof, and also to access things like the bells. You can see here this medieval element with those great big blocks of stone, and they are robbed out of the Roman city. Nobody else is using it, so why not? Why go through all the bother of getting stone yourself if the Romans have done it first? There's a seam there which suggests the building has been extended westwards as well as eastwards. This would suggest that this bit is the original structure. It's been joined here. Now, I mentioned using Roman bits and pieces, and here you can see the gates and those gate piers. They are Roman columns. So they again have been salvaged from the Roman city, and they've been brought here to be part of the church. It's amazing, really, how they've been part probably of a public building, maybe even a Roman temple, and they've been brought to be the gate piers for the village church. And this tower is absolutely splendid. I mean, look up here, this window, and then up we go. Just back up a bit towards the gate piers. It's just an absolutely spectacular building. And very, very typical of this area and the 15th century. So that's the outside here at Wroxeter, St Andrews. And so that's it, St Andrews, Wroxeter. It's a marvellous building. I've been meaning to get to this for several years by now, and finally got here to make this video. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.